So we need to teach phonemic and phonological awareness. And we need that understanding of phonological awareness as this umbrella term under which phonemic awareness is one part. And so there are levels of phonological awareness, and there are levels of phonemic awareness. Less complex activities over here, like rhyming and alliteration. And my contention is there's not a lot of that going on at home. For our little guys, I don't know that people are learning nursery rhymes anymore. I've got kinder teachers reporting to me that their kids don't know it. So important that we still have all this rhyming and alliteration going on, so we attend to the sound. Doing sentence segmentation. I see a cat. How many words are there in that sentence? And then moving on to syllables and doing onsets and rhyme in English, and then phonemic awareness. In Spanish, we don't do onset and rhyme. And then within phonemic awareness, which I abbreviate as PA, the definition is this: the ability to hear, identify, and manipulate the sounds, which are also called phonemes, within words. And that's a subset of the bigger umbrella of phonological awareness, all the sounds that make up speech. We have different areas of phonemic awareness. I still, even after all of this instruction that has gone on, I still hear people talk about phonemic awareness when letters are present. Phonemic awareness is to do with your ear. It's what you can do with your eyes closed. It's what you hear. And so we're really working on the ear at this point with the phonemic awareness. And moving on from hearing oral rhymes and alliteration. So this is, I can distinguish it now. I can hear words in spoken sentences. I can distinguish the syllables, onset and rhyme, and then on to hearing individual phonemes in words. Moving through these skills of, I can isolate a phoneme. So I've got my word cat, k, at. What sound is this? So I can isolate that. Then I can blend it together. Then I can pull them apart in segmentation. And then we have our advanced phonemic awareness skills: addition, deletion, and substitution. We'll talk about all of these. First and foremost, make sure that our kiddos can isolate and correctly pronounce the phonemes. And so we really need to get to a point where our kids have a lot of practice and that we're not skipping over the phonemic awareness. And in most of our basals, I would say we even have to beef up what's in there for the phonemic awareness parts. Here, we're seeing the phonemic charts of the sounds that exist within the English language, the voiced and the unvoiced, and that has to do with, are my vocal cords involved? If my vocal cords are involved, then that's voiced. And so here's where my mouth should be. So these are great resources to have. We want to teach our kids where the mouth should be when they are pronouncing the phonemes. And then I always use the old Project Read cut with the scissors when they're doing ba, like the sound that B makes, and they'll put that on the end. Oh, let's cut that off. B, b, b. Take the off so that we don't get ba at when we're trying to put words together. So we want kids to pay attention when you teach how to say a phoneme. Make sure they're looking at you. Your students that are when you do your phonemic awareness, I like to get them down at the carpet. And you'll get kids who do what I call church singing. And so you ever been in church and you look around and there's people going, singing the song, but they don't know the words? You get your little kiddos on the rug that are going to be doing that too. And they're looking at the other ones like, how are you making your mouth? So I can make my mouth the same way. There's probably no sound coming out. Those kids should be up front. So they can't look and see what other kids are doing. So if they're struggling with phonemic awareness, that's when you bring them up front, have them attend to where your mouth is, and think about where's your tongue, and talk about that with your kids. On this next slide, on slide 38, there's a couple of different resources and ideas here. Many times we'll have kids use what we call phoneme phones, so they can really hear that sound that is being made. We know from studies of dyslexia that kids that have that phonological deficit will many times hear just a fraction of a second later. So the difference between p and p, the B and the P, that maybe is completely lost to them when you're doing the phoneme. So the phoneme phone, which you can make out of PVC pipe, there's a link of a blog, how to make them, on slide 38. They love to use them, and then it helps them kind of hear that sound a little bit more. Here you see the little gal who has a little teeny tiny mirror, probably from the dollar store, which we all love, and she's watching how her mouth is making that sound. Where is my tongue? Where is it in relation to my teeth? Is there air coming out? And so we're getting them to attend to those sounds and how you physically make the sound. Important for your English learners as well, because there are certain phonemes that exist in English that don't exist in Spanish. And that would be important for you to be pointing out to your English learners and letting them know, how do I physically make this sound? So for example, shh, I always elongate that. And I let my kids know that are English learners, shh, I can make that longer. They'll approximate to the phoneme that does exist in Spanish, which is ch, and you can't elongate that. The choo-choo, you can't elongate that. So if they're pronouncing it correctly, then we're going to be able to elongate it. There's a wonderful video in the middle here, and I will not play it, but this is how to pronounce the 44 English phonemes. It's a great video. Some other resources on here on this slide are the Wonder Sound Spelling Song, and then there's a version of Espanol, and then the mouth positions for English also here. So here, if you're not sure, and maybe English is not your first language, and maybe your mouth placement is not like this, but here it will show you, this is ah as in Bob. And so where should my lips be? Where's my tongue in relation to my teeth? So it gives you each phoneme, each sound, and then how the mouth should look. So it's a great resource as well for you. When we are teaching kids, when we want them to isolate, we need to understand that they will typically be able to isolate a beginning phoneme first. So my word is bat, b, at. What sound is this? They'll be able to isolate that sound first. Then they'll be able to isolate the end sound. It won't go to medial until the end usually. That's the last thing they usually can pick up on. And then sometimes we can just remind them before they do the segmenting and blending of what that vowel sound was. Because sometimes you get the kid who does the b, a, t, cut. You know, you're like, where'd you get that from, right? So we have to slow them down. And the other thing we always want to make sure we are doing is placing the phoneme. I'll talk more about that later. But we want to get them moving across that path in both directions. So they're going to put the sounds together, they're going to pull them apart. They're going to put the sounds of the word together, they're going to pull them apart. My word is fat. Say the word fat. What are the sounds in the word fat? For English learners especially, I would always go to some kind of conceptual meaning of that, because so the concept matters. There's something, it needs something to anchor to in their brain. Otherwise, it's just kind of floating around and we're not going to remember it. So make sure you have a visual when they are blending and segmenting, and constant practice of pulling the word apart and putting it back together again.